Deep in the heart of Northern California lies a stretch of land unlike any other, a sanctuary shrouded in mystery, protected by towering redwoods that have stood watch for thousands of years. The world beyond may bustle with headlines, policies, and elections, but inside these woods, time seems to bend. The air is heavy with the scent of moss and pine, and the silence is broken only by the distant calls of nocturnal creatures. But for 2 weeks every summer, the Bohemian Grove awakens, not with the laughter of campers or the clatter of hikers, but with the arrival of men who wield the levers of global power. They come in private jets and chauffeured cars, slipping quietly past the gates, their arrival unmarked by the press or public. No cameras are permitted, no phones allowed. The outside world is left behind. Here, among the redwoods, presidents, billionaires, military leaders, and artists mingle, united by membership in the exclusive Bohemian Club. The Grove is a world apart, a place where reputations are left at the door, and the burdens of office or fortune are, at least in theory, set aside. Yet the Grove's isolation is precisely what has made it the subject of endless fascination. What happens when the most powerful men alive disappear from public view? What secrets are shared when no one is watching? What rituals bind them together? And what do those rituals mean? It begins with a ceremony that has become notorious, the cremation of care. On the first night of each encampment, as twilight settles over the forest, the members gather before a colossal stone owl, 40 feet tall, its eyes perpetually open. Hooded figures process through the trees, carrying a wooden effigy named Dull Care. It is a symbol, they say, of the anxieties and responsibilities that weigh upon them in the outside world. With solemn music and words, they commit this effigy to flames, casting off their worries for the duration of their stay. Observers have described the scene as both eerie and theatrical, a strange blend of pageantry and purpose. The flames leap skyward, shadows flicker across ancient bark, and a sense of transformation seems to hang in the air. Some say it is merely a bit of elaborate fun, a way for grown men to indulge in boyish escapism. Others, seeing the symbolism and secrecy, wonder if something more profound or more troubling is at play. But the Grove is not all ritual and spectacle. By day, it is a place of conversation. The lakeside talks are among its most storied traditions. Beneath the shade of redwoods, influential figures deliver speeches on topics ranging from policy and science to art and philosophy. These talks are strictly off the record, never documented, never leaked. It was during one such gathering in 1942, according to some historians, that the seeds of the Manhattan Project were sown. Surrounded by nature and freed from the constraints of protocol, luminaries of government and science discussed the possibilities of harnessing atomic power, a conversation that would change the world forever. If such seismic decisions can be traced to casual remarks over wine in the Grove, what other moments of history have taken shape here? What policies, alliances, or innovations remain hidden, known only to those who sat among the trees? The Grove's membership is a veritable who's who of American and global leadership. Past attendees have included every Republican president since Calvin Coolidge, as well as many Democrats. Corporate titans from companies that shape the world's economy have walked its trails. Artists and musicians, too, are invited, lending an air of bohemian creativity to the proceedings. The club's roots, in fact, stretch back to the late 19th century, when San Francisco journalists and artists sought refuge from city life. Over time, the roster expanded, and the Grove became a retreat for the elite. Yet for all its openness within, The grove remains fiercely guarded against intrusion. Security is tight, and attempts to infiltrate the encampment have become legendary. Journalists have donned disguises, climbed fences, and braved the woods, only to be swiftly ejected, or in some cases, escorted out by private security. The rare glimpses that have emerged, snippets of ceremony, fragments of conversation, have only fueled speculation. Peter Phillips, a sociologist who has studied the grove extensively, points out that its real power lies not in occult ritual, but in the networking it enables. It's a place where the most powerful people in the world meet privately to conduct deals, make plans, and influence policy, he says. The conversations may seem casual, but the ramifications can be immense. The absence of public oversight, he argues, is what makes the grove significant. Decisions reached here are not subject to debate or scrutiny. They are made in private, and their effects may ripple outward for decades. Others, like John Ronson, have taken a more skeptical view. After infiltrating the grove and observing its rituals, he described them as bizarre but essentially harmless. It's bonkers, he said, but more about male bonding and nostalgia than dark rituals. The pyrotechnics and pageantry, Ronson suggests, are a way for powerful men to relax, to reconnect with boyhood memories in an environment free from the scrutiny of their public roles. Yet the enduring secrecy has ensured that the grove remains a magnet for theories and rumors. Some see it as the meeting ground for a shadow government, a place where the fate of nations is decided out of sight. Others dismiss such claims as fanciful, arguing that the real business of the grove is camaraderie, not conspiracy. Still, the question lingers. If the grove is merely a retreat, why the elaborate rituals and strict secrecy? Why the exclusion of outsiders, the prohibition of press, the ban on recording devices? Why the persistent rumors of deals made and alliances forged? And if the public is only ever allowed to see the surface, the odd ceremonies, the fleeting glimpses of relaxation, what lies beneath? Consider the history. The Grove was founded in 1872, at a time when San Francisco was a city of ambition, innovation, and excess. The Bohemian Club offered a refuge for artists and writers, a place to escape the city's frenzy. But as the decades passed, the club's membership shifted. Business leaders, politicians, and military officials joined, drawn by the promise of privacy and exclusivity. The Grove became a microcosm of American power, an enclave where the arts and industry met, and where influence could be wielded without interruption. The rituals, too, evolved. The cremation of care, now the Grove's signature ceremony, began as a simple tribute to the idea of leaving worldly worries behind. Over time, it grew in complexity, incorporating music, poetry, and elaborate staging. The owl, a symbol of wisdom and watchfulness, became the presiding spirit of the Grove. To outsiders, the spectacle seemed almost pagan, a curious blend of ancient symbolism and modern theatricality. Yet the Grove's true purpose remained elusive. Members have described it as a place to recharge, to reconnect with old friends, to share ideas in an environment free from judgment. The Grove's motto, "Weaving spiders come not here," suggests that business is to be left outside, but stories abound of deals struck, alliances formed, and policies shaped in the quiet corners of the camp. The lakeside talks are perhaps the clearest example of the Grove's influence. Delivered in a relaxed setting, these speeches have covered topics as diverse as nuclear strategy, environmental policy, and the future of technology. The absence of recording devices means that speakers can be candid, unfiltered, and unguarded. Attendees listen, ask questions, and debate away from the pressures of public scrutiny. It was at one such gathering in 1942 that the Manhattan Project reportedly took shape. Scientists and military leaders, aware of the looming threat of war, discussed the feasibility of building an atomic bomb. The conversation, according to some accounts, was informal but decisive, a moment when the course of history pivoted in the shade of redwoods. Other lakeside talks have delved into subjects ranging from economic policy to global diplomacy. The roster of speakers is impressive. Cabinet secretaries, CEOs, Nobel laureates. The impact of these conversations is difficult to measure, but insiders attest that the Grove provides a unique environment for candid exchange. Ideas are floated, challenged, and refined without the constraints of protocol or hierarchy. But for all its influence, the Grove is also a place of relaxation. Members play music, stage theatrical performances, and share meals. The camp is divided into camps, each with its own traditions and quirks. Some are raucous, known for late-night revelry. Others are subdued, focused on quiet conversation and reflection. The atmosphere is one of camaraderie, tinged with nostalgia for a simpler time. Yet the exclusivity of the Grove cannot be ignored. Women are not permitted as members, and the club's criteria for admission are stringent. The result is a gathering that is not only powerful, but also homogeneous, an enclave of privilege that stands apart from the world it shapes. This exclusivity has drawn criticism over the years. Protesters have gathered outside the gates, decrying the lack of transparency and accountability. Journalists have attempted to pierce the veil, but the Grove's defenses remain strong. Security is tight, and trespassers are quickly removed. The club's members are fiercely protective of their privacy, insisting that what happens in the Grove stays in the Grove. The secrecy has also given rise to countless theories. Some claim that the Grove is the meeting ground for a shadow government, a place where global policy is set without oversight. Others see it as a harmless retreat, a boys' club with an overactive sense of tradition. The truth, as is often the case, likely lies somewhere in between. The rituals, though strange to outsiders, serve a purpose. They reinforce a sense of belonging, create shared memories, and provide a framework for relaxation. The absence of women, phones, and outsiders is intended to foster an environment of trust and openness. Members can speak freely, knowing that their words will not be recorded or leaked. Yet the impact of these gatherings is undeniable. The Grove brings together individuals who shape the world's economy, politics, and culture. The conversations that take place here may not always be earth-shattering, but their cumulative effect is significant. Ideas are exchanged, alliances are formed, and decisions are made, all away from the public eye. For those who stand outside the gates, the Grove remains a tantalizing mystery. The redwoods conceal more than just the physical camp. They hide the inner workings of power, the quiet conversations that shape history. The rituals, the secrecy, the exclusivity, all contribute to an aura that is equal parts fascination and unease. The question persists. What are we not seeing? What decisions have been made here that have altered the course of nations? What secrets remain buried beneath the moss and pine, waiting to be uncovered? Perhaps the greatest mystery of the Grove is not what happens within, but why it remains so fiercely protected. In an age of transparency and accountability, the idea of a private retreat for the world's most powerful men seems anachronistic. Yet the Grove endures, its rituals unchanged, its gates closed. For some, the Grove is a symbol of everything wrong with elite privilege, a place where power is wielded without oversight. For others, it is simply a retreat, a place to unwind and reconnect. The truth, as always, is complicated. What is certain is that the Bohemian Grove will continue to fascinate, to provoke, to inspire curiosity and suspicion. Its rituals, its secrecy, its history, all ensure that the questions will never fully be answered. For as long as the redwoods stand, the grove will remain a place apart, a sanctuary of power, mystery, and intrigue. And perhaps that is precisely its purpose, to remind us that not all secrets are meant to be uncovered, that some mysteries endure. The world's most powerful figures will gather again, the flames will rise, the owl will watch, and the rest of us will continue to wonder what really happens in the Bohemian Grove. Who truly pulls the strings? In the end, the Grove is less a place than a symbol, a testament to the enduring allure of secrecy, to the power of ritual, and to the unending curiosity of those who stand outside and look in. The redwoods whisper their secrets, the owl keeps its silent vigil, and somewhere in the shadows, the world's fate may yet be decided.